How's it going? Welcome back, my wonderful wise ones, to a fantastic, glorious video today as we hunt goddamn geckos down, the filthy little rats that they are, and we take a look at what mods you need in 2026 to play Fallout New Vegas at its absolute majestic peakness.
Peaked? Peaked, D? Let me tell you something. I haven't even begun to peak. And when I do peak, you'll know.
So today we're looking at Fallout New Vegas mods for 2026, the best 2026 mods for Fallout New Vegas, because this game is definitely showing its age. I recently made a video discussing why Fallout New Vegas is so beloved, why some people can never forget this game, and I think it's an objective thing to say that Fallout New Vegas does not exactly play well. This game was notorious for its bugs even on release because it was a rushed game. It's been well over 10 years since we got the beloved Fallout New Vegas, which is in fact quite crazy to think about. And the people who love this game, like myself, are unks that just cannot let go. And that's not a bad thing, okay? There's a reason why so many people love Fallout New Vegas. It is a beloved classic for a reason. But when I go back and I play older games like Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, or when I go back and play some Halo 2, it does not matter if the graphics have aged, the game still plays very well. Fallout New Vegas, however, was never a first-person shooter. It never had great bones to begin with. It was notorious for its buggy release, with NPCs, quests breaking, the game crashing, and sadly that is still the case, and in fact it might even be more prevalent today on modern hardware, simply because this game was not built for modern hardware. But luckily today, I'm going to show you the best Fallout New Vegas mods in 2026 to make this as modern and update what needs to be updated, but keep the classic formula intact. But Fallout was always a game focusing on realism when it came to its art direction, and sadly that means it does not hold up as well today, but thanks to a few mods you can change this, so let's go over them today. And if you do enjoy this video, please do subscribe, like the video, that does help out a lot. I don't usually ask, but please do like the video if this is helpful to you. I'm going to try and not waste your time and get straight into the mods. And at the end of the video, I will discuss so far what I think of the Fallout second season, how well it's adapting New Vegas, and just playing this game in the new year for 2026 and beyond.
Keep this in the groove, hey? Smooth moves, like smooth little...
Now, by the end of this video, you will have New Vegas looking as close to a modern release as possible. Now, there are some things that you cannot fix with Fallout New Vegas, some graphics that will just always stay in the current era that it was created, and just certain aspects of the gameplay that just don't hold up that well compared to modern RPGs or first-person shooters, like the gunplay, animations, but most of this stuff can be fixed thanks to the power of modding. Now, there are easier ways to make Fallout New Vegas feel like a modern game by using Wabberjack and, you know, these massive mod lists that just get injected with this kind of one-click download, or do something like the Tale of Two Wastelands, which bridges Fallout 3 and New Vegas together and makes it a unique package. There's plenty of Wabberjack you know, kind of curated mod lists out there that are just easy to download, but you do have to understand how to use Wabberjack, so consider that if you don't want to individually mod the game, but that's how you get the true personalized touch and make it feel next gen for 2026.
You're goddamn right.
So I'm going to go over some classic mods that I've been using for the last 5 years now that I just feel make the game so much better. I will be going over some new mods as well, and just give you some advice as well if you're new to modding, or if you're just looking to update the game now for 2026. The Fallout New Vegas mods in 2026 are actually surprising. They're even releasing massive DLC story quest lines that aren't complete trash, like previous mods that had a lot of weird stuff in them. There's a new NCR quest mod, out for New Vegas at the moment, so there is new content still being created for this game, which is very impressive.
This is where the fun begins.
EVA for essential visual autism, because only a true autist can appreciate the finer details, okay, for Fallout New Vegas, like the EVE mod does. So this is an absolute classic mod, and I absolutely love it. So basically, in summary, what it does is it adds effects to certain weapons and overhauls some gore aspects as well, okay? So it's very important to make the world feel much more, you know, alive and immersive, especially in 2026. So it makes fire effects feel much more modern, much better. When you use energy weapons or plasma weapons, enemies will explode in a glory of, you know, plasma or energy. So like I said, there are still quest mods being made for Fallout New Vegas in 2026. Some mods, like I said, are the new NCR quest line that's being released, but there are classic ones like New Vegas bounties that just make the world feel much more fleshed out. I would say that this one is highly recommended interior lighting overhaul, because some of the interiors in the base game just look very old now. You know, it uses baked-in lighting, because this is before, you know, we had like fancy effects where the actual sun in-game of the simulation lights up the game world, and it can even, you know, affect like interior lighting or ray tracing or anything like that. And sometimes baked-in lighting can actually look very good in older games. But like I said, Fallout New Vegas was never exactly peak for its art direction, at least in my opinion. It's great for writing, for world building, characters, and as an RPG. That's why it's a masterpiece. But when it comes to the gameplay side of things, and even graphically, it was not even a looker back in the day. And I would say that it hasn't aged that well. So having something like this, you know, where it makes it a little bit more moody, a little bit more dark in areas, it's very essential, and it makes it feel a little bit more modern. Now, this mod I absolutely love, because I love the Legion, and I've been using this for a long time. I understand it goes against some of the lore, and some people might not like it, because, you know, the whole point is they're reusing, you know, old baseball costumes and stuff like this, to try and impersonate the Roman Empire and all of that kind of stuff. And it doesn't necessarily make sense how they would get actual nice metal armor from, you know, copper, steel, and all this kind of stuff. But I really do love this mod. It adds new areas of the Legion. It adds like this whole arena as well, and this underground city of the Legion. And I always feel like the Legion were never truly utilized. They were just kind of the bad guy for the sake of having a bad guy, when there's a lot of depth going on there with, you know, Caesar's misunderstanding of Hegel's dialectics, which is actually a very important philosophical process on basically coming up with new ideas. So basically, you need a synthesis and an antithesis, an exchange in different ideas or morals or philosophy to create something new, and he was using that as a justification for all of his immoral actions. But there's a lot more going on to the Legion apart from, you know, his crazy misunderstanding of Hegel. You know, the way that they are uniting tribals, the way that they do unite tribal groups and bring that idea of the Roman Empire to stop in faction fighting, I think that's very interesting. And originally in the New Vegas that we never got, there was going to be a greater settlement of the Legion that you could go and explore and find out how they keep the roads safe, how they have their own currency, all this kind of stuff. This doesn't add that whole settlement that you couldn't ever see in the base game that got cut, but it does add, you know, more companions, quest lines, and it makes them feel much more of a dangerous faction with more, you know, like badass armor and weapons. And it still feels true to what the Legion is, but it just makes them a little bit more overpowered. So depending on if you are interested in the Legion, you might like this or you might not. But there are similar mods for, you know, overhauling the NCR as well, or other minor factions. So just have a look at all of them. But overhauling factions is a very good thing to do in 2026. Immersive hit reactions is very important, because the combat, like I said, is very janky in New Vegas, and sometimes it's not even obvious when you know, actually land a critical hit or anything like that. They don't really react. So it's very recommended to upgrade the animations, upgrade the combat, and one of the best mods is this immersive hit reactions that makes combat feel much more responsive. So check it out. Now, I do hope you're enjoying this Fallout New Vegas modded guide for 2026. I love modding my games, and especially modding New Vegas. And it's very obvious that this game is showing its age. And we're going to talk more about some gameplay changes as well. But now let's discuss some of the graphics. I do hope you're relaxing. You're grabbing yourself a beverage, a little Twinkie Twonk to shove up your rectum. Just, whatever you do to relax. I'm not here to judge. Have a moment. Let's just bask in the glory of New Vegas and how people are even interested in modding this game years later. It's insane, but I'm all here for it, and I'm here to help the mad people out there like myself. The first thing that you need to address is the terrible LOD with the base game of Fallout New Vegas, okay? So basically, you just need to get this mod called Much Needed LOD, which basically makes it so it doesn't look like it's literally like flashing in the background and you're breaking out of the Matrix. So it basically makes the game look a lot better at a distance, okay? So things actually load in properly. As you can see, quite a big difference. And in-game, this is very noticeable because things will flicker in and out of existence. Now, the classic for texture packs is, of course, NMC's texture pack. This has been around since I was a little baby boy, basically, which is insane, and it still holds up today. It basically adds so much more detail to the world, makes everything pop a little bit more, using bump maps and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I am a very big nerd because I know all of this stuff, but, it's not parallax or anything like that, where it's actual 3D textures, but it kind of makes everything look a little bit more 3D. There are parallax textures if you want to get into that. So as you can see, it makes everything a lot more 3D and dynamic, even if it isn't actual 3D textures. It makes everything look like it has a much more 3D aesthetic to it. And I highly recommend bringing back the OG Super Mutants as well if you want that classic Fallout feel. Now this one kind of snuck under the radar for me, but this is great for a 2026 Fallout New Vegas modded playthrough, I would say, because this is Nut Vegas. Yes, it's Nut Vegas. And basically, this just takes the textures to a whole new level, gives them a lot more detail. It depends how much you want, things to stand out, because some things will be overlooked and then they kind of, look a little bit weird because you can have like a very bad OG texture next to a really high-res one. But pairing this with NMC, I think that's a really great blend to make the world come alive, the rocks, all of that kind of stuff. Now, if you want a nice weather package, I would highly recommend Desert Natural Weathers. This just overhauls the weather system, gives you a lot more variation in the weathers that you get. You can find something a little bit more oppressive, that as like radiation storms and stuff like that if you want more of that classic OG feel. But honestly, this works very well across Fallout New Vegas and the old Fallout games like Fallout 3 and stuff. Then you can get something like New Vegas redesigned for upgrading the characters, just giving them a little bit more of a detailed look. But honestly, some people don't like character overhauls, and I understand why. So you can just find like HD texture packs of the original characters if you don't want to change how they look. Now this one is pretty cool. It's called Overcharge, and basically it changes how energy weapons work, and it gives different effects for energy weapons. As you can see, customization, and it changes like the kill effect similar to EVE in some ways. But I just think that this is a pretty interesting mod. So I'm here on my desktop. I've not got the most powerful rig. I've got a 4070 with an i9. So it's more than enough capable for most modding games, and especially old games. And that's what I love to play the most, is older games, okay? And I'm massively into modding my older games to make them even better. So this is a small quality of life thing, but I did not even know about this. I've been gaming on a PC for a very long time now, and I did not know about this, but it's revolutionary. And if you don't know about this and you have a RTX card or Nvidia, okay, I highly recommend you use this for older games. It's an absolute game changer. I've been enjoying games like Brothers in Arms, I've been enjoying games like Hell's Highway and the OG Prince of Persia by using this new setup, and it works on games like Fallout New Vegas as well. Simply go over into your control panel and go into your Manage 3D settings, and you need to find a setting called DSR, okay? And you need to use the new DSR version of DL and use it at the max setting, which is this one, and a 33% smoothness. So I did not know about this feature because I'm an idiot, and everyone has heard of DLSS, right? which is basically upscaling, and it uses stuff like AI, which I'm not a big fan of. Most people don't like it, but super sampling for older games is absolutely incredible, and that's basically what this feature is. It basically puts it at a massive higher resolution, and then it squishes it all down into your current resolution, making the game super tight, and it looks absolutely incredible. It's basically advanced AA with this new version as well of smoothing out all of the edges, all of the jaggies, all of the pixels, and it just makes the older games, look so incredible. And I had no idea about this until recently, which is my own fault, but if you don't know, now you know. Use it. It changes older games. Even if you don't play with mods, just play it vanilla by using that setting, it already is a night and day difference. And well done, my wise ones, the OGs who stuck around to this secret ending. So I'm just going to ramble for a minute or two about how well the new season of Fallout is adapting New Vegas and the New Vegas area. So far I think they're actually doing a pretty good job. It's nice that they're including cut content from the original game and fleshing it out. And also, it's kind of sad seeing what's happened to some of these locations. You know, how in Fallout New Vegas you either make it a much better or safer place, only for it now to be simply destroyed and everything to be reset, and the NCR being kind of collapsed and all this kind of stuff. And not to what they once were, the Legion. Everything just feels like it's being diluted a little bit. Like they were the big powerhouses, and they were kind of, again, starting to rebuild civilization, but Bethesda Fallout doesn't really like that idea. They want everything to stay, at this kind of survival basic element where things don't actually get a chance to progress into proper societies, which I don't really like, but I do think they are treating the source material pretty well for the most part, and I am enjoying the second season. So those are my thoughts so far, but I just hope that they show off some of these factions later, and that they haven't all been destroyed, but so far they are adapting it quite well. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you are going to be playing Fallout New Vegas in 2026, and what do you think the best mods are for Fallout New Vegas for 2026? Let me know. And thank you so much for being here, being part of this channel, this community, and the Fallout community. And I'll be seeing you in the next video. Have a great day. Peace out.